ladies and gentlemen. I'll try to match the energy that has been set. Um, my name is Olufemi. I serve as a special advisor to the Minister of Youth and Sports Development, but I'm a tech entrepreneur myself, an IC consultant of some 25 years standing, so I probably betray my age. But the minister asked me to share some information with you. He unavoidably had to be in the southwest part of the country today. So I will come to that presently. But I want to make some remarks of my own, which I think speak to some of the things that have been said. First, what exactly is the role of technology? I still find a lot of discourse, at times confusion around this very cardinal subject. Somebody said earlier on that it was an enabler. And he's right. Human intent is what leads everything. Everything else galvanizes or you orchestrate everything else to actualize human intent. But technology has gone beyond being an enabler. It is now a shaper of intent. It's a shaper of culture. It's a shaper of morality. It's a mind, if you like, I don't want to use conditioning, but it is an ecosystem that actually conditions how people see the world. So in that context, technology can be said to be a shaper, enabler, if you like, of human intent and human reality even. So let's talk about Nigeria a little bit. When we talk about investment inflows, when we talk about a strategic direction for the future, I want us to always remember two things about Nigeria. Who knows what the population of Nigeria under 15 years is? Under 15 years of age? Does anybody have an idea? Give me a number. 88 million. It's one of the highest in the world, actually. So when we talk about GDP per capita, productivity, and all these other comparative analyses, you have to bear that in mind, that your under 15 demography is, I think, the highest in the world. It's about 88 million. So, and they are categorized as dependents. So they are not yet part of the productive ecosystem. But that tells you two things. That the future can be very, very bright if we harness that pool. So the so-called young generation of today already, they have to grow up very quickly because there are 88 million people knocking on the doors, needing guidance, direction, needing inspiration as well. There's also another interesting statistic, or should I say fact. Population growth. Between 2010 and 2020, does anybody know what population growth we achieved in Nigeria in 10 years? Highest in the world, 28% in 10 years. You know, people adduce many reasons for this. Maybe the family units are breaking down, maybe some parts of the country, whatever. But that's also a reality. So whenever we talk about opportunities, technology, the future, Nigeria, I want us to always put these two things in context. There's a third thing I want you to put in context. When you into what we want people to perceive Nigeria to be. But that also behoves on the tech-savvy youth to also think big. We need to conquer globally. We need to develop things that have global application, not just Nigerian application. But I'll come again to that in a second. Before I do that, though, let me share with you some of the highlights the minister wanted me to present to you, to let you know that under his tenure, and I hope it will be sustained, the youth are not seen as a demography you empower or you just pander or pamper. No, no, no. This is the core of Nigeria. It's a demography to be invested in. So the language has shifted from empowerment, enablement. No, no, no. We have to take risks on this segment, on this sector. And when I talk in a second about the National Youth Investment Fund, I will talk about that risk taking. But some of the recent things that have happened have been bilateral agreements with countries like Algeria, Turkey, Ghana, Egypt on youth development, because we also understand that Africa has to be, if you like, the umbrella under which we coalesce our efforts. I'm sure you all know about the African Continental Free Trade Agreement that's coming into play. The youths have a massive role to play in making sure that intra-African trade, intra-African technology exchange, intra-African development actually happens. So please, I don't want you to have an insular view of the world. It's not just about collaborating within Africa. You have to think of yourself as global partners. But, you know, they say charity at times begins at home because everybody pursues their strategic interests when it comes to these things. So these agreements are in place. Execution will begin shortly. But beyond that, a number of capacity building initiatives and investment initiatives have taken place. And I just read some of them out. Over 6,500 youths have been trained in robotics and artificial intelligence. Mobile device repair training on the high end by 150. I don't know how many of you took part in the 60-day app challenge. That was a popular one. It was about 4,400 people took part. In partnership with IBM, over 30,000 people have been trained on the Digital Nation Africa program. Microsoft one is awaiting approval. Over 10,000 were trained by Google on the Digital Onboarders program. Google and Mind the Gap have trained again another 60,000. I could go on, you know, training to enterprise, confectionery training, digital youth entrepreneurship training, vulnerable youth training, technology. You know, all these things have happened. Leadership training, 42,000 have been trained by the Center for Leadership. There is now a partnership with Konga for e-commerce. That was signed a month ago. There are about 250 beneficiaries so far in terms of logistics, POS, digital training, becoming agents. Partnership with Next Titan, about 1,000 people. That's an entrepreneurial reality TV show, but it's going to have a tech focus. Because again, everybody understands that technology is the centerpiece of development now. Everything comes into that efficiency that technology brings. So that's happening as well. Let me talk very quickly about the Youth Investment Fund, but let me also talk about the WEP program, which was the placement program with some companies so that the youths actually get hands-on experience in the workplace. About 2,700 people have benefited from that. And there have been partners like Wilco, very grateful to them, Nestle, Konga, Halogen, City Chef, Taraba State University, IDM Cakes, Abasha Clinic. So about 2,700 people have been placed in these companies so that they actually get work readiness skills not just the theoretical skills, as it were. So, noya.ng, that's a purpose-built portal, noya.ng, a lot of opportunities and information about what's happening with youth opportunities in jobs, scholarships, and all those things exist. Nigerian Youth Investment Fund. Let me spend a minute to talk about that. How many people have benefited from the fund here? Anyone? You have. Very good. I hope you invest in it well. The case was made by the minister to Mr. President that, look, we have invested in adults. We have set up AMCON. If they owe money, AMCON sweeps it. We can't be asking our youth for collateral. They don't have. Guarantor, it's too complicated. We have to take a risk on them. And, no money, but everybody put heads together. Mr. President approved 75 billion naira over 3 years. 25 billion per year, per annum. Unfortunately, the application started, unfortunately, 3 or 4 days before NSA started. So anyway, but that's a different story. So it's 25 billion per annum, moratorium for 1 year, 5%, single digits, no collateral, no guarantor. All you need to do is do a 1-day training on business or soft training. First come, first serve application. Multi-sector, although technology actually has a bit of a priority place there, and agriculture as well. To date, there have been about 5,000 beneficiaries. Another 10,000 should start drawing money probably in the next week or so. And the amounts range from about 250,000 to 3 million, depending on, the type of business, how long you've been in business, is it registered with CAC, And the thinking was this. A lot of people made the argument that, they won't pay it back. No. Doesn't matter. It helps us also know the mindset of the youth if they don't pay it back. But the country must take its confidence that no collateral, no guarantor, take the money. Let's see what you do with it. So that is happening now. I'm happy I saw, I don't want to say, how much did you get? Can I? Was it, some people even, actually, a couple of people declined because they got about 1.5 million and they said, no, it won't do the business I want. And we thought that was good integrity. So there will also be a category as the data comes in and we see where the impact points are of very high value, maybe special projects, maybe high-end robotics, high-end AI, where, this is not a matter of 2 or 3 million. They need much more than that. So that's what happened. So what am I saying? So we've said Nigeria is viable in terms of its resources. Nigeria is more than viable in terms of its human assets, and that's why investments are also coming in. People are looking 5 years down the line. They're looking at those ones coming up. You can see the pay stacks, the flutter waves, some of these companies had better valuations than banks that had been in existence for years. So the future is indeed bright. There's recognition of that. Government is also, despite the constraints, aware of the fact that the country means the youth. If we are 70-something%, that's the country. There's not much else apart from the youth. But we must also be clear that technology and ethics must be co-joined twins. Because technology can be like a gun placed in somebody's hand. They could use it to defend, and they could use it to attack. If Nigeria becomes known across the world as, they have a very high population of cyber criminals and cyber hackers and what have you. It will impact the future in dramatic ways. Because in terms of outsourcing now, the data suggests Nigeria is losing a lot of outsourcing business actually to neighboring countries because it's a trust issue at times, it's a brand perception issue. So, and no one has the time to look at every individual and say, oh, he's a clean guy. No, 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 no. It's the initial impression matters. When you say German, something comes to mind. Probably efficiency. When you say Japanese man, something comes to mind. Oh, they are very respectful, technology savvy. It's a branding issue. When you see a Nigerian, what must come to mind? Because you see, the young ones of Nigeria have to do better than the failures of those who came before them. That is the only way you can shame them and say, look, you people, you stole all the money, you only built a few things. Okay, you build this, you build that, but look at what we can do. You cannot use the foibles and failures as examples. Use the success stories. Use the guys who did it well. Use the people who have integrity as your inspiration points. Do not hide behind excuses by saying, well, after all, it's what we met, so we'll just worsen it. No, 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 no. That's not what an intelligent generation does. That's not what the Nigerian youth will do. We want the Nigerian youth to chart a new course in branding Nigeria. Who are the major beneficiaries? The same Nigerian youth. So do you really have a choice? Because if you do not do it, the danger is real. I come to 5G. 5G will collapse barriers like never before and borders. It's going to move you towards the real metaverse world where what is happening here will impact what is happening there in profound ways. So our mentality has to shift towards productivity from consumption. It's got to shift towards investments into solutions about climate, about environment, about the things that matter, not only consumption. And if we have to consume, we better make sure a lot of technology is going into optimizing production. Otherwise, you just become a dumping ground for foreign goods. So, in conclusion, I want to re-emphasize that the Minister of Youth and Sports Development, they're actually two ministries, and there's a logic behind fusing them together, because most people who partake in sports are youths. So there's a kind of like a natural fit there. So that is that. So the minister wanted me to reiterate that at the epicenter of his focus is youth investment, especially in tech. The challenges that pervade us as a nation must be prevailed upon if these things are to be truly optimized. And finally, we also need to recognize that as we invest in tech, as we explore the boundaries of what is possible, always think of your population. Your realities in Nigeria, our realities, should I say, are different from those of Singapore. I hear people compare Singapore, Nigeria. It's not comparable. Singapore is 5 million people. It's slightly bigger than Lekki. No, yeah, in terms of land space. Now, I'm not saying it as that's just the reality. But yeah, if you look at it on so it's not. So you can't say, oh, the same parameters apply. So always think of it. Automate everything. Make everything efficient. Robotics. Robotize everything. What will happen to the humans? We need to think about that. We need to think about it in terms of jobs. We need to think about it in terms of what we do on social media. We need to think about it in terms of how we even capture data. We talk about unemployment today, but nobody really knows because a lot of business is happening on Instagram. A lot of entrepreneurs are on Instagram. Are you capturing them? Do you know how many they are? Do you know what they turn over? Nobody is really sure. So these are the kind of solutions you should also seek to build so that you can develop the ecosystem and the country.
Thank you.
I'm coming, I'm finished. With focus, with scale, with depth, and in a sustainable way. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Please, another round of applause.